right, so I'm gonna just say who's in the chat once it goes live. All right, we're live. Okay, we're live now. All right, welcome everybody into another Whiskey Crusaders episode. This is a special day here. We're broadcasting here with Mark from Wolfburn, and we're going to be doing the whole core lineup plus the small batch. And since he's in Scotland, it's a little bit hard to do it during a Monday stream since we're not doing this at 3 a.m. in his time. So this way, it's at 7 o'clock in Scotland and 1 here in Texas. And so, welcome everybody here in. I know so far I've seen Charles, Simon, Scotch Down Under's in here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start. Now, more will trickle in as the thing goes out to everybody. Of course, the ad has to play because, it likes to do that. It's fun. That's what it usually does. All right. Okay, cool. All right, so I will let you take off. Why don't you just tell us a little history of Wolfburn, and then we'll go from there.
Brilliant. Cheers, Matt. Yeah, so welcome to Bonnie, Scotland. I was just telling Matt in the sort of the pre-chat before the live stream, Scotland have just beaten England in the rugby union in the Six Nations, so there'll be a lot of happy Scottish people across the land tonight, hopefully having a good few drams celebrating our victory against the English, which is brilliant. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I was watching it, so I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing as well.
Anything that beats the English is good.
It's like one of these things. It's having a dram, watching your favourite sport, being able to shout at the telly and winning at the end of the day. It's it's all about taking part, but hey, everybody likes to win. But yeah, thanks very much for the invite. Sam Green from the Oak Barrel in Los Angeles. I met a couple of years ago. We've been friends via Facebook and WhatsApping over the years, which is great. So here's hoping that he's on watching, and it's thanks to him that hopefully this is why we're here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. Hopefully he'll be here at some point, I assume.
Yeah, and we've got a great following in the US. I was over in 2019, our Pacific area, but I'm not sure exactly if we're in all states as well. So it'll be interesting to hear from your streamers and the folk that are on the chat if Wolfburn's available in their local stockists as well. So it gives us an opportunity or where we should be targeting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know people that want it, that can't get it, or if you can get it, tell us if you can. That would be great. Yeah. I guess Joe Van Dam actually went to your distillery, he said, in 2017, so that's awesome. He went to visit you guys.
Brilliant. And we're still doing everything the same in 2017 that we are in 2021. Nice and simple, nice and slow. We're so laid back, we're horizontal. We're fiercely independent. I always like to get that in. That's not a political statement, but we're not part of any the big boys, the whiskey factories, Diageo, Inverhouse, Moët Hennessy, anything like that. We're 15 folk in the whole company.
Wow.
And that includes our owners, that includes our accountant, that includes our brand manager. We've got 5 guys on the stills, and we've got a couple of admin assistants, admin manager, and admin assistant, and a tour manager at the distillery. My role is global brand ambassador. I get the best job in the world. I get to travel. I get to talk about the distillery. I get to get the liquid to the lips, and I like to see the enjoyment from people as they're tasting our spirit as well. Last year hasn't been the best for everybody traveling, but we've changed it. We've just gone on to the virtual world, and rather than create our own content, what we've done, we've made a conscious decision to reach out to the retailers, the distributors, the whiskey clubs, folk like yourselves, the journalists, the bloggers, people that are hugely passionate about whiskey. And we've decided to support you guys because through the work that you guys do and through the work that our retailers and our distributors do, that's what grows the brand, and that's what sort of gains momentum as well where we are. So it's only right that we should be supporting people like yourselves for the great work that you're doing by getting the brand out there. So yeah, thanks from everybody at Wolfburn, anybody that's sort of joining in for a wee watch or a wee stream. It's an absolute pleasure to present to you. And
we appreciate it. I mean, I'm just excited to just even only have 15 employees to have you on, and that's really amazing. So that's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I like this stuff a lot, and so it's one of the harder ones to get in general that I was excited to find, I guess, about 3-4 years ago. Yeah. Finally here by me. But yeah, it's great. We got a question here from Joe. Joe wants to know, with so much that they sell in South Africa, are they planning on keeping 750 bottles to the U.S.? So if that changed 700s.
We at the moment we don't see an issue. We know we're selling 750s, so we're set up to do it. We've got stock, we've got bottles ordered, we've got bottles in the warehouse.
Okay.
What's the point of changing? Because we would just end up with having pallets and pallets of 750 bottles. So at the moment,
right.
At the moment we're a great company for a great believing that if you get something right the first time, let's just continue it, and you don't have to change because everybody else changes. You stick to your own sort of road in life, and you make it the best that you can. Yes, you look left and right and you see what people are doing, but you have to have a sound strategy, and you have to stick to that strategy. And certainly Wolfburn have done that. We've been lucky enough. We're now 8 years into production. So we started production in 2013.
Okay.
So the Wolfburn hasn't been running since the old Wolfburn distillery, because the old Wolfburn distillery started in 1821. So that's over 200 years ago.
Oh yeah, it sure is.
It only lasted for about maybe 50 years at most. We've got records from the 1820s to say that it was Caithness's largest producing distillery, and it was producing about 125,000 litres. Okay. And that was in the 1800s.
That's amazing. So what happened to it? How come it closed back then?
It's an old farm distillery, so they would make get the crops in the summer and make whiskey and right the way through the winter and stuff like that.
Okay.
On and off. It was owned by the Smith family, and it passed a generation to generation. And then, for some reason, it went into rack and ruin. We looked at some old ordnance survey maps, and it appeared as a ruin in the 1850s, and then it appeared again without ruin. So we don't know whether it was started up again. The bad thing is we don't have any pictures. We don't have any bottles. We don't have any records as such from the distillery. We've got some roll to say that the local lad was the distiller and a maltman, and we've got those tax records, but we don't really have anything else, because when we went to the original site, all that was left is like flat flagstones. Caithness is renowned across the world for its quality of stone.
Okay.
And that's all that's left on the moors at the top of the farm where the distillery was. And it was called the Wolfburn because of the water source, the natural spring that rose in the moors. And it's a very, it's quite a neutral pH, but it's very mineral rich as well. So it added to that Northern Highlands character, because that's where we are. We're the most northerly whiskey distillery on the mainland of the UK, in a place called Thurso.
Okay. So how far is that from Wick?
21 miles. 21 miles from Old Pulteney.
Okay.
So Old Pulteney's on the east coast, and we're on the north coast. So it's a nice visit to come and see Wolfburn, and then go and see Old Pulteney as well.
Might as well. If you're only 21 miles, keep on going. Get to go to both.
That's exactly it. And what we're trying to do is encourage people to come north. Because we're not just half an hour from Glasgow or Edinburgh. We're about 5 hours drive.
Okay.
You have to make the effort to come and see us. That's
right.
It. And I always say, make the pilgrimage, you shall be rewarded. You will.
Absolutely. Now, is there an airport there, or is it pretty much you have to just drive there and that's really the only option?
There's an airport at Wick.
Wick,
you can get some flights from Edinburgh and Inverness as well, which is a couple. But again, with everything and with the COVID situation and with flights not
right,
they've sort of relaxed the routes as well, which is quite disappointing. But it's a beautiful drive. It really is a beautiful drive.
Yeah, I'd imagine it is. So it's just go up through the Highlands, but I assume it's just rolling hills and mountains or whatever going through up there.
That's exactly it. And when you get to Caithness, that's the county that we're in.
Okay.
Caithness is Europe's largest peat bog. It's flat. It really is, like barren.
Okay.
Which is, it's my birthplace. I was born and bred in Thurso. That's my connection.
That's awesome.
As well. So I'm a local lad working at a local distillery on a world stage, which is absolutely brilliant. It really is.
That is awesome.
But
so how did you end up with Wolfburn in the first place?
One of the guys I used to go drinking with was the sort of tour manager, Charlie. So Charlie's an ex-cop. He's done 30 years as a Scottish police officer, and as luck would have it, I was in the same. So I was doing, I was a police officer in Scotland. I did 30 years service.
Oh, thank you for your service. That's awesome.
Yeah, 2016, Charlie said, "Do you fancy helping me out with some gigs, some festivals?" And then it snowballed from there. So
very cool.
It's super cool because that's 2016 was the first year that we actually came on to the to actually selling the produce, because we started the build in 2012 in about August. It was finished within about 20 weeks, which is unheard of. Now, to build a distillery, we approached Forsyths of Rothes, and they built our distillery from scratch. So they not only did they build our stills, because they're famous coppersmiths, make stills across the world, they built our entire distillery.
Wow. That's awesome.
We started laying down spirit 25th of January 2013.
Oh, Burns Night.
Burns Night. Piece of marketing genius.
You're for real, right?
So we're 8 years into production now.
Wow.
We do everything on site as well. So we've got traditional tonnage warehouses, no more than 3 casks high.
Okay.
The Wolfburn, the original water source, just runs at the back of the distillery as well. So
that's awesome.
We're lucky enough that beautiful mineral rich spring water is still there, and we hand bottle all our bottles on site as well. So all the bottles that you have there have been hand bottled. Some of our owner's fingerprints, my fingerprints. You never know.
That's awesome.
That's cool. And this is what we do. And there's nothing plasticky about our.
No, your bottles are super nice.
There's a tin cap over an oak cork. The weight of the bottle along the bottoms, Wolfburn Distillery, along the back is Thurso Scotland. And there's a bit of presence about the bottle and a bit of the brand as well, because what we want our product to sit on the back bar or an off license, and we want to command a presence. We want that bottle to shout out to people, buy me, obviously, or drink me.
I think it does both quite well. It's just a really nice, just a nice heavy, thick bottle, and it just looks. I love the Wolfburn. The actual, wolf. The sea wolf is really cool on there. Also got a super chat here from Sam McGrab. Says, I can't wait to make the pilgrimage 2022 probably. Thanks, Sam.
Well done. Yeah, we're not going anywhere, so we'll still be there. You mentioned the sea wolf, the mythical beast, which is our brand, and we wanted something that would relate to the sea where we are and the Wolfburn where we draw our water from as well. So the sea wolf, it's from a 16th century book by Conrad Gessner. He was the illustrator. And it's from the history of 4-footed beasts and serpents. So not Harry Potter or Game of Thrones, but near as damn it. And if you see one, it's meant to bring you good luck as well.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So people would see these, I guess, did you usually see them in the water or on land or on both as far as the tails would go?
On both, because it was, it was it liveth on land and sea, according to the legend as well.
Okay. Very cool.
If you look at the back of the sea wolf, it's like a spine. It's like a his spine as well, like the dorsal as well.
Oh, it sure is. That's awesome. I did not realize that. Yeah, so it's kind of like a fish. That's really cool.
And it's eye-catching, and it's interesting as well, because again, black on white. When we've got the signs up or we're discussing the brand and we've got the marketing, people are drawn to it because it's different.
I agree.
It's eye-catching, and we're nosy. We're nosy animals. If we don't know things, we want to go and investigate. We want to suck up information like the sponge as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
It's a beautiful logo, that's for sure. Yeah, like you said, like your shirt's awesome. It's got it on there, so it's cool.
Yeah, to the merch. We only got that really in the last couple of years. We've been concentrating on making great whiskey until then. So this is what the bosses say. Concentrate on making the best spirit, the phenomenal juice. Everything else will come. We don't even have a visitor centre. You tap the door, you're in Wolfburn. That's you.
That's what I want to see anyway. I want to see the distillery. The visitor center is nice, but I want to see the production. I want to see whiskey. I don't want to hear all the fluffy crap. I don't care about that. I care about the actual production stuff. That's what matters to me.
And it's not smoke and mirrors. Everything is there. You can take as many pictures. And the great thing about our distillery, because it's a modern and efficient distillery, it's built in a lovely flow. There's a lovely chronological order to it. So when the barley gets delivered, we've got our mill machine. We've got our we do our milling on site, and then it takes it up into the grist bucket, into the mash. Then it goes the next. We've got 4 fermentation tanks, stainless steel fermentation tanks, washbacks, and then it's our wash still, our spirit still, and then it gets pumped up to warehouse 1 where we fill our casks as well. So there's a beautiful, there's a beautiful flow. Flow is a great word because that's whiskey flows from the bottle.
Absolutely.
It flows down your throat, down your neck as well, which is brilliant.
Yeah, sure does. Now, are you guys using 2-row or 6-row barley?
6-row. It's usually concerto. We get our barley from, we have sourced it from Burtmalt and Speyside, Muntons, Baird Malt in Inverness. Muntons is down in North Yorkshire as well. But a lot of maltings, they import their malted barley as well. So you might know what you're getting, but you might not know exactly where it's coming from as well. But terroir, there's so many different parts of the production that people want to know. They want like the minuscule details.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's interesting for people and they like to compare, and you can't really compare down to the nth degree unless you have all the information available to you. Yeah. But we're using about 1.1 tons of grist each mash, and we're doing, we were doing 6 mashes a week. We're actually doing 8 mashes a week now. So it's
nice.
It's a tiny amount because our yearly production is only about 120,000 litres.
Okay, so how many barrels does that approximately make each year?
We usually fill about 1,000 of all shapes and sizes.
Okay.
So really,
decent size, but not gigantic by any means.
Comparison, say the likes of Glenfarclas, the family-owned Speyside.
Right. In
their warehouses, maybe 120,000 casks and barrels. In ours, we've only got 8,000. So it's
a lot smaller. Okay.
And like the likes of our yearly production, 120,000 litres, Diageo could probably do that in a day with all their distillery. Sure. So again, for us, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality.
Absolutely. Now, all the malts you guys, do you combine all those different types of barley together for each expression, or is each of those usually for a different expression on purpose?
We buy our malted barley in. It's the only thing that we don't do actually on site. So again, for 10 months of the year, it'll be a non-peated barley, but for 2 months of the year, we'll buy a lightly peated barley of 10 phenol parts per million. So the likes of the Morven that will go onto there. That's the only peated expression that we have in our core range as well.
Okay, now the peat that they use, is that you guys peat that's from the bog around you guys, or is it just whatever they have that they're using there?
The peating facility, it's a new peating facility in North Dalton in Yorkshire, and they use Scottish peat.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It's probably not the really sort of like the CBD and the iodine rich.
Right. It's not iodine.
It's they'll probably take it from the sort of the Speysides in the Highlands, because Speyside's in the Highlands anyway. But it's Scottish peat that they use to dry the barley, and it's all about consistency. The whiskey making industry, it's getting it right and then repeat, because this is what you want. You know, people come used to your taste and flavour, and there's no point going up and down. You need that consistency. You need that level playing field, and that's, you know, our fermentation times, depending on what day, can run from about 67 hours to 92 hours.
Well, you guys do a long fermentation.
Yeah, which gives it a lovely, like a really rich fruitiness to it as well, and lovely floral notes as well. We use dry anchor yeast, and we don't reconstitute it. We don't use a wet yeast. We just pour that in by hand, 5 kilograms per washback, and our washbacks are about 9,500 litres in capacity, and there's about just over 5,500 litres of wort, lovely clear wort as well.
Okay.
And you know, it just adds to our DNA and our essence, because
absolutely,
for me, it's got a lovely, you know, if you take a drop at 72%, it's still very, very drinkable. It's got a lovely sort of banana, tropical pineapple fruit flavour to it. It's very malty and slightly nutty as well. So the great thing for us...
That sounds really tasty. I'd like to try that White Dog. That sounds awesome.
You know, it's exactly it. That cleric, that new make spirit. And the good thing is, usually when I travel, I usually have about 100 millilitres of White Dog with me. So it's always nice to find out where I am and chat the door and say, any chance of having a wee snifter, a wee taste. And even you're rubbing it on your hands and you're smelling it, you know, you're and you're in the distillery. That's the smells that you're getting constantly around you.
That's so great. Yeah, and unfortunately in the US, we really don't get an opportunity to ever taste any of the new make of Scotland. I think the only new make Scotch I ever tried was Aberfeldy's, because we had their ambassador. She was at the house, I guess a year and a half ago. Other than that, I've never even tried any of the ones. I always wanted to try some of the new makes. I think it'd be fascinating at how they taste.
You know, it's a lot of distilleries will not let you taste their new make, because I don't know why it is. You know, we are super proud of what we're producing. So we're producing that White Dog. Right. It's got flavour, it's got taste already. And we know that our wood management program is just going to add to that. You know, we don't want that wood to overtake our spirit, because we want that DNA. We want that essence of Wolfburn to go across all the range. So I don't know whether a lot of distilleries are, you know, producing their spirit and they're waiting for the wood to do the work. I don't know. But certainly when you see me, and I've got some cleric, as we call it in Scotland, new make spirit or White Dog in the state. It's always in my pocket. It's always under the table. You know, it's not out on display. People don't expect that they're going to get to it. You know, you have to ingratiate yourself with me. You have to prove yourself to me before I give you a snifter.
I agree. It's only fair.
So we're going to taste them tonight, then, Matt.
Yeah, we should start with the Northland here. Let's start with that, and then I got one of the. So I was looking at your stills. Are your line arms just horizontal when they come across?
There's a slight downward.
Downward. Okay.
Yeah, ever so slightly. And again, you know, our still, our wash stills 5,500 litre. Our spirit stills 3,600. So they're really, you know, small workhorses, but we don't fill them to capacity. So there's a lot of copper contact there.
Okay.
Which makes it really sort of light and vibrant. And even, you know, when they're running the spirit, the still safes open so that the guys can actually smell. You know, that they're getting their senses, and they can smell, you know, when the cuts as well should be as well, because of everything that they're doing. And you know, we have 5 people on the production side. We've got Ian Kerr from Glenlivet. He came up in 2013. He came up with Shane Fraser, who was our first master distiller from Glenfarclas.
Okay.
But Shane left in 2019. But the good thing, Shane employed his son. So Charlie Fraser has been at the distillery for the last 5 years, since 2016. Okay. And Charlie's pal, Innes McIntosh, he joined as well at the same time. So we've got two 21-year-olds that have got 5 years experience already.
That's fantastic.
And we've just taken on a 17-year-old, Matthew, and Max, our other apprentice distiller. He's got a couple of years under his belt at the moment, but he's only 20 as well. So
great that they're doing it that early. That's fantastic.
It's absolutely, you know what you're like when you were young. You know, you were soaking up information left, right, and centre.
Sure.
But these guys, their work ethic, their, you know, the thing about Wolfburn, there's a great family feel, and we're hugely motivated because we're all doing it for the same reason. We want to produce the best spirit for the consumer. Yes, we're a business, we have to make money, but
right.
The fun that you have, the laughs, the enjoyment. If you're happy at your work, you're gonna work better. You're gonna work faster. You're gonna be more motivated. You're gonna give your all to the business. And you know, the owners have created that ambience, that atmosphere. Because they get involved themselves. You know, they're in the bottling hall, they're bottling, they're cutting down trees, they're loading pallets, they're rolling casks and stuff like that. So it's an absolute pleasure to be involved. You know, again, I'm humbled that I'm actually like on the world stage promoting my hometown distillery. You know, it's a dream job. Exactly.
I mean, it's amazing. Just to get owners that are willing to do anything and everything, that's the right place to be. That's for sure. All right, we got some here. So Sophie says, Wolfburn's new make is absolutely gorgeous. It's what made me fall in love with the brand. So that's very cool.
Met Sophie a few times in Holland. She's an avid supporter as well. And it's great. You know, my mind for names is, you think as an ex-cop it would be good. I'm good with faces. I am good with faces, but because of the virtual world as well, you know, you're meeting so many people, you're accepting so many friend requests. But when you actually meet people at shows and festivals or tastings, that's the best. Because then you can press the flesh and say, oh, thankfully I've had a chance to meet you. I can put a face to the name now, and you know, we're proper friends now rather than just virtual friends as well. So
the first time when people trying it is the reaction in their face is usually great. So that always helps. So let's talk about Northland. What is Northland? Let's talk about what's
the Northland. Handcrafted was our first expression, our commercial expression. It came out in 2016. So our casks and barrels were just over 3 years old for this when it came out in 2016. Now this is a non-peated spirit we've used, and it's at 46%. We don't chill filter our whiskey, so we don't want to take anything out. We want to do the traditional handcrafted whiskey. We want everything to be in there. Why play about with the spirit? You know, don't take any out, any of the fatty acids, the proteins, the esters, the long chain. And
all the good stuff I actually like.
And we've matured this in second fill X quarter casks. So 120 litres in size, but they're actually X Isla quarter casks.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. They're actually X Lafroy quarters.
Nice.
So, and again, you can get just a little hint of smoke.
Definitely.
Just a little whisk. And that's just through the maturation. Nothing to do with the original spirit. That's just through the maturation as well. But it's quite, you know, I can picture myself walking along the beach at Thurso because that lovely sort of sea air, that lovely sort of salinity, that brininess as well. But it's fruity, you know.
So it's nice and salty and fruity. And I guess I'm sure the dunnage. How far is the dunnage from the water?
Probably about a mile.
Okay, so pretty close.
Yeah, and because Caithness is flat, the sea air just rolls across the countryside.
Okay.
So again, we want our outside environment, you know, where we are, to affect our spirit, because as the angel share leaves, the wood, the porous nature of the wood, we want that outside environment to come in. So the sea air, we're surrounded by gorse and heather. You know, it adds a stamp of authenticity that we're warehousing on site and we're maturing on site. Sure. That adds to the character. It really does. So Slange.
Slancha.
Here's Matt.
Mm. So nice and oily. Ooh, that a lot of nice. That toasted barley really comes through.
That lovely sort of cereal notes.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice. Yeah, I was so excited the first time opening this and going, "Oh man, it sounds like it's gonna be really good. It's just fabulous." I mean, I can't believe how good, how much flavor you guys get as young as this whiskey is. It's just amazing what you guys been able to do with it just in a few years with this stuff.
And again, using quarter casks, so small casks.
Right, and that helps a lot, I'm sure.
The maturation, but the more intense the maturation as well.
Sure, and then using, ex Lefroy, that definitely helps. That's for sure.
Yeah, and as I said, we've got a supreme confidence in our spirit. So our new make spirit, lovely legs and
the oils in this are incredible.
The oils,
that's awesome.
The tears, and this is just over 3 years. But again, when you're producing your new make spirit, it's so good and it's drinkable and it's flavoursome, it's tasteful. You're using your wood management program, your selection of casks and barrels to augment that. I used an analogy the other day. It's like, when you're in a football team and you score a goal, and then at the end of the game, your teammates put you up on their shoulders and they carry you around the field. This is what we want with our essence, our DNA. We want that to be proclaimed, and we want the wood to do that. We don't want the wood to overwhelm it. We want the wood to lift it up and proclaim it and to say, this is Wolfburn. Because ultimately, 5, 10, 15 years from now, somebody picks up a glass and they give it a nose, they give it a taste. If, this is a Wolfburn. If they say that, that's the accolade that you want when you're making whiskey.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You want them to pick it up and say, this is beautiful. And yeah, this is just, I can't believe the legs, though. That's just wild. The oiliness of this is beautiful.
And, because this came out just over 3 years old, this put us on the want to watch straight away.
Absolutely.
Bang under the microscope. If you're doing it this good at 3 years, what are you going to be doing at 5, at 8, at 10?
I'm really interested to see how that goes. So, is there a lot of fog there at the distillery as well, or not really?
We call it the har. So that there's like a dense, you can describe it as like a dense fog, but we call it har in Scotland. It's just it can be like rolling off the sea. And Caithness is very. I'll not get a job at the tourist board, but Caithness it's quite grey, and there's a great Scottish word. It's dreich, so it means it's like smirry rain. It's it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
But more times than not, the wind howls because it's flat. The trees grow to the side. There's nothing standing straight because the wind just rips across the county as well.
Okay. What's your average wind speeds? Is it like Wicks when it's like 80 to 100 a lot of the time?
It can get quite nasty. Yeah, and we've had last week we had a lot of snow around the north coast. But again, because the sea air is there, it doesn't stay around for long because the sea air, it has to be really cold, and it can get really cold. It can get really hot as well. A few years ago, the Wolfburn dried up to a trickle.
Really?
It was that warm that summer. So what we had to do was just stop production just a couple of weeks earlier.
Yeah.
The great thing for us when we had the distillery built, because Forsyths of Rothes are based actually on the old Caperdonach distillery.
Great stuff there too.
So they had 2 big Caperdonach washbacks, 57,000 litres. So we've got a 57,000 litre spring water tank, and we've got a 57,000 litre effluent tank where we get rid of all the waste. We try not to get them mixed up for obvious reasons.
Yeah, that'll be bad.
But again, we've got that sort of reserve tank, shall we say, of lovely spring water from the Wolfburn, if anything like that happens. But when the Wolfburn dried up, we just thought, let's bring our summer maintenance program forward and let's do something extra, and let's get things back to shipshape Bristol fashion as well. So, we painted everything, we got things replaced, the site was tidied up. And again, it's like taking pride in your workplace and your appearance. If you walk into your workstation and it's like a shiny new button, everything is in its place, everything is stowed away, everything is beautiful to look at. That just gives you a great sense of motivation to keep it like that and to work at your best as well. Because if you walk into an office and it's a shithole, your motivation just goes down the pan. It really does.
Yeah, it does, absolutely. Yeah, it looks like it's a beautiful facility from what I saw online on the virtual tour.
Yeah, feel free to share that as well. But anybody can type in Wolfburn virtual tour, and Master of Malt came up, and they did the 360 degrees. So it's only sort of 4 or 5 minutes.
That was cool.
Right up and down.
I never seen one like that. That was really, really neat.
And it shows you that lovely flow, as I discussed. Where the malt bins are, where the mill is, where the grist bucket is and conveyor, where the mash tun, where our sort of fermentation tanks. Then it's a lovely gantry along to the wash still and our spirit still, and then up. It actually takes you into the warehouses, and it takes you around our bottling plant as well. I say a bottling plant. We fill 4 bottles at a time.
I saw you the 4-bottle filler. I was like, it's like, well, that explains the hand bottling. That's for sure.
It's very, it's labor intensive, but it means that we have supreme control over our spirit.
True.
We don't go to any bottling plant. We don't tanker our spirit away. Mm-hmm. We don't mature it anywhere else for that reason. We want everything to be on site because Wolfburn's our baby. We want it to grow. We want to nurture it. We want to encourage it, and we want it to flourish in the world as well. But the only way we're going to do that is if we keep it to ourselves and make sure it's done right.
Okay. So when you guys bottle, does everybody pretty much all help that different bottling day, I assume?
Yeah. Wednesday's a good bottling day because we do mashes on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday as well. So Wednesday's a good. But then if we're needing, we might be in at the weekends to do some bottling, depending if there's specific runs that we're doing for vatings. Because not only do we do the core range, we do specials for. Well, we've got 36 distributors across the world at the moment, so everybody's looking for something maybe a wee bit different, a wee bit unusual, and that's the way that we like to reward distributors, because it's not just about giving them T-shirts or 10% off an order. It's about a bespoke bottle, giving them a Bibendum bar for the Australian market, or a Japanese unique bottle, and we've been doing that for years, and it's a great way because again it gives our fans in those areas something just that wee bit different and wee bit special.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked earlier on about keeping it exciting for people. People come to the brand, they drink the core expressions, and then they're always looking for something else. They're looking for maybe a single cask, or they're maybe looking for an exclusive somewhere. And it's about keeping people on the hook. It really is. It's about, but how you do that is about creating a great base, a great core, and then adding here, there, and everywhere, and allowing people the opportunity to taste different, what they like, what they enjoy. Do they want something that's got a wee bit more oomph, a wee bit more ABV? So, do you want to go high 50s, early 60s, or are they quite happy with 46? So again, it's about giving people an option and letting the consumer decide as well.
Absolutely. I agree. All right. You want to move on to Aurora then?
Yeah.
All right.
Our Aurora. Now these Glencairns that I've got, they're perfect dram glasses. These aren't proper size Glencairns, so I've not got massive hands. Don't worry. Okay. These are wee tiny glasses. They're ideal for tastings. Our Aurora used the same non-peated spirit that we used in the Northland, but this time we've used 2 different types of cask. We've used first fill bourbon casks and sherry hogsheads, or also sherry hogsheads. The ratio sort of 75-80 in bourbon flavour and sort of 20-25 in the sherry flavour. So named after the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights, which we see from the Caithness coast as well. We've had some great pictures last week of the lovely sort of greeny, yellowy, red hues dancing in the sky. Absolutely stunning. And if you come to the distillery in the winter time, if you don't see them dancing in the sky, drink plenty of Aurora. You're bound to see something flashing in front of your eyes. But please drink responsibly. Please drink responsibly as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've never seen them. I've always heard the other lights were really beautiful, but never had a chance to see them.
I've been lucky. Yeah, they're absolutely. You're mesmerized. You're just looking. It's like a picture show in the sky just for you. It's so romantic as well. But yeah, our Aurora. This came out in 2016 on the success of our Northland as well. But again, we decided to use 2 different type cask of maturation to give it a totally different flavour and taste as well. But we still wanted that DNA of Wolfburn, that essence, to be there. So that lovely, fruity, floral note, that light vibrancy. Because hopefully, as we go through the drams tonight, nothing that we're going to taste tonight is going to have that horrible burning effect, down
right.
Like, I describe it sometimes when you're drinking whiskey and you get that gag or that reflex. It's like a hot poker going down the throat. I always describe Wolfburn. People laugh at me, but again, it's maybe my romantic nature. It's like a rolling tear just down the cheek. Lovely, beautiful descent, just ever so gradually going down. Yes, we're putting a fire in your belly, and we're putting a smile on your face as well, and that's what we want.
That is, yeah, and like Silverlock Pussy Club says, drink responsibly means do not spill it. It's correct. Correct answer.
I quite agree. But again, the lovely sherry notes, that lovely fresh, clean, it's got a bit of sort of like a bit of bitterness. I get, I always think of like really sort of dark bourbony chocolate.
It's like wildflowers in a meadow.
Yeah, that lovely floral note.
Yeah. Okay, now the chocolate's coming through. But yeah, it's like a high cacao chocolate.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. What kind of sherry cask are you guys using?
Oloroso.
Oloroso, okay.
Yeah, and they're hogsheads, so they're 250 litres. And again, smaller the cask. We've got some brilliant Oloroso sherry butts in the warehouse, but they're, in my opinion, using the 250, maturing that wee bit faster, using about 75 or 80% first fill bourbon casks as well. It's just adding, the Aurora's just adding a wee bit more complexity. Not to say that the Northland isn't complex,
right?
But because it's 2 different full maturations, and then we've added them together. It just gives it just a wee bit more layering, a wee bit more excuse to investigate it. Just that wee bit more, just to sort of savor it as well. Cheers.
Okay. Cheers. Now there are none of the quarter cask Lafroig is using this expression at all, right? Okay.
None whatsoever. So, sometimes I get like a burnt coffee, it's not a smokiness. It's more like I maybe said that bitterness, that chocolate bitterness as well. But sometimes it's like a coffee pot that's been left on, and it's just got that sort of that burnt coffee note to it. I get from it sometimes, but it's fresh on the palate. It's got a lovely sort of melon-esque flavour, that lovely clean. It draws the cheeks in as well.
Definitely.
And there's a bit of white. I get a bit of white pepper spice on the tongue. That wee bit of heat as well from it, as well.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, it's got that, like you said, it's got the nice bitterness of the chocolate. Then it's got this thing that floral is super malty, a little nutty, which I'm sure comes from the Oloroso casks. It's beautiful. It's really tasty. Yeah, Daniel, it's because he's in Scotland and we don't want to do a 3 a.m. Stream, so this is so it's at a reasonable time for him.
But then I've said, as I said, I dialed into some of the our distribution meetings this week and last week, and I've said to the sales folk as well, if you're planning events and it's worth me, getting up at 2 or 3 in the morning, I'll do it, because ultimately we're a global organization. We supply the world, and
Right.
you have to have a bit of give and take with time zones. I've done tastings at 7:30 in the morning for Australia. So getting up a few hours earlier at 2 or 3 in the morning, it's fine.
Sure.
It's just the way of the world. It's just what you've got to do. You've got to adapt. You have to adapt and overcome, just like we've done with the sort of the virtual tasting and reaching out to people like yourself as well to get the brand known and to support you guys as well.
Yeah, I mean that's the great thing is, at least if you're going to get up early, at least you're going to do it for a good reason. I mean, you get to drink whiskey. I mean, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, that's why I've got these little glasses. I only try and pour myself sort of 1 centiliter, like 10 mils. Although it's a Saturday night for me, so I'm celebrating a Scotland win at the rugby. So I'm gonna.
Perfect.
I've poured myself a little more tonight just for that reason.
Good then. I don't think Aaron was here at the beginning. Can you say again where your stills are made? Who makes them?
Forsyths of Rothes.
Okay.
So the famous still makers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Richard,
the funny thing is, they actually made Balcones stills as well.
Yeah, and Richard Forsyth had just taken over the company from his father in, I think that was 2012, and he wanted to be able to build a distillery from scratch. And when we came along, he had a couple of stills in his mind that he's always wanted to make.
Oh, okay.
So he made the stills that he's always wanted to make in conjunction with, our first distiller, Shane Fraser. He was saying, that those stills will be great for the kind of spirit that we're going to make. It's going to be light, it's going to be vibrant, it's going to be, it's not going to be too heavy. It's going to give it the right characteristics. So as if the planets aligned. Richard had just taken over the company. He built our entire distillery from scratch, and he built it, as I say, within 20 weeks or something like that. Between August and just phenomenal. You have to wait usually 3 or 4 years for a pair of Forsyth.
Sure.
But he saw the opportunity that he could use that blueprint of Wolfburn and take it anywhere across the world.
Sure.
So if you want a whiskey distillery, I've got the team under me that we can build it from scratch. There's actually a great YouTube of the build of Wolfburn as well, and it's time lapse. So you can actually watch that, and you can see everything going in. From the outside, it just looks like a big cattle shed.
Sure.
We don't have the fancy pagodas. We don't have the fancy brickwork. It's modern day efficient distillery. Everything has its place. It's we've been described as maybe one of the ugliest distilleries in Scotland, but I don't care what you look like. It's what's in here that counts. I mean, you open the door, you see the heart of Wolfburn.
Exactly.
And that's what people love.
Yeah, the outside is not going to help me make better whiskey. The inside will definitely make better whiskey.
Yeah.
So actually a question from Graham. Graham wants to know so can Wolfburn meet current demand for its whiskeys, and is there any expansion planned?
Graham, we produce about 120,000 litres a year now. That we do some 6 mashes a week. We do some 8 mashes a week. Usually the 8 mashes a week are usually in the winter time. We have capacity to do 8 mashes a week all the time, which would probably give us maybe another 40,000 litres capacity. So an extra third we could do without any expansion.
Okay.
Which is great. So we're doing that at the moment, and we've got plans to keep doing that. But again, it's like, our uniqueness, our small, our focus based on the quality, not the quantity. We want to keep quite true to that, because that's our work ethic, that's our goal, that's our strategy. Yes, when we branch out into other areas, we have to have a security of supply. We have to have a confidence of supply as well. But we don't want to get too big too fast. We're only 8 years in, so let's just take it nice and easy. let's concentrate on making the best juice, the best way that we can, and putting it out to the consumer with the best price point as well. Because
Agree. Yeah, because your price point's really good. None of the stuff's crazy expensive by any means. It's
and again,
wicked.
it's a small amount of whiskey that we produce. We're not putting a like $100-$200 price tag on on our spirit. It has to be affordable. You want to create, we want to create that fan base. We want to create that wolf pack mentality that people come to the brand because it's all about the juice. It's all about the taste and the flavor. That has to be the higher echelon. Then it's it's the branding, it's the marketing, it's people that want to be seen wearing the merch and supporting the brand as well. But we don't want to rip folk off, and we're not like using smoke and mirrors to say one thing and do the other. We're open and transparent.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that greatly.
Your integrity in business. There's nothing worse than somebody standing up and saying something and then somebody shooting you down in flames saying that's bullshit. Because if your integrity goes, people will leave the brand. People will, wipe their feet and go somewhere else. Because what we wanted to do, yes, we're against the big huge companies, but we just want to chisel a wee bit for ourselves. But how do you do that? You want people to come to a brand because they understand your history, they see where you've came from, they appreciate the work and how you do it. And it's, sometimes I use the analogy, if you decide to get a sideboard or a cabinet in your living room, if you want something that you want to build yourself, you go to IKEA or another outlet, everybody's got them in houses across the world. But if you want something that's bespoke and handcrafted, you go to somebody that's got the training, got the expertise,
absolutely,
20, 30 years in the business, honing their skills. So again, what we're trying to do at Wolfburn and what we're succeeding to do, we're using modern day efficient methods, but we're doing it the old style way. We're not playing about with the spirit. We're not adding things to the spirit. We're maturing on site. We're hand bottling. We're doing everything ourselves, and people love that because it's different. It's absolutely handcrafted spirit. It is bespoke. It is bespoke, and it is, it's just something that people can latch onto and people can actually appreciate the hard work. I always say blood, sweat, and tears goes into making our spirit, but that wouldn't taste nice in the glass. So you need to produce a phenomenal spirit.
Yeah, totally agree. So, see, Brent wants to know is, will we get Wolfburn Spirit in wine cask at cask strength stateside? He says, please.
Yeah, we've done last year. Last year was the first year that we released some small batches. One was 6 months. It was 5 years in a bourbon cask, then 6 months in a port cask. We did that in January, and we released one in November, the batch 204 in Madeira casks.
Nice.
Our cooperage is based in Speyside. It's Isla Cooperage in Keith. So we're always looking out for the decent casks, the decent barrels. We've got some cracking port pipes at the distillery. We've got some rum casks at the distillery. Nice. Wine casks, we've looked at them. Not going to say if we've got any at the distillery as yet. We need to keep things under wraps sometimes as well. We like to have an air of, just that wee bit of mystique. We can't put everything that's in the warehouse, but the great thing about being an independent distillery is that you can experiment. You can try your hand at different things and what the maturation is as well. Because if it doesn't work, we can maybe rehash it in a different barrel. But luckily, everything that we've turned our hand to so far in the last 8 years has worked perfectly. Touch wood, everything's worked perfectly. So it's, again, it's, why try and change? Why try to change a winning strategy? Let's go for a tequila barrel. Let's go for a Chardonnay or a Champagne. Let's just get the basics right. Let's just practice. Let's experiment, and then if we want to go off piste, left or right, we can do that. But we're quite happy We're doing everything that we're doing and giving people different tastes and flavors. But the great thing is, like my job, I suck up the information, and when I speak to the bosses, I'll say, folk in the States are looking for wine casks. They're the other control. So again, it's the whiskey industry has to be a two-way. It's not just about us producing and giving it to you. It's about listening to the consumer base,
right,
and being true to your fans as well, and responding to them as well, which I do a lot.
Yeah. Now, do you guys do like single casks for like whiskey clubs and stuff like that over there in Scotland, or not quite yet?
We have done one.
Okay.
We have done one for the whiskey hogs.
Right.
The great thing we do have a private cask members as well.
Okay.
We don't sell a lot, maybe one a month, if that, 12 a year.
Okay.
What we try and do, again, we're not selling to any independent bottlers, and we're not selling for blends, so you'll not get
stuff
anywhere else. So it's a good way for us to do business. You want Wolfburn to come to us, you're not going to get
it from Wolfburn then. Yeah, that makes sense, especially as a small. So as far, obviously, a worldwide distribution. So for you guys, size-wise, it's basically a craft Scotch distillery, more or less. Is that how you guys are looked at over there?
Yeah, craft can be a nasty word sometimes, but
right. But to me, personally, it's a good word for me, because I like the transparency. It's small. You can talk to people that actually know what they're talking about. It's not a PowerPoint presentation that's boring. It's people that actually know things and are usually extremely passionate about the brand, which is what I really enjoy.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. It's it's driven in you. I'm not from a whiskey background. Fair enough. I used to drink whiskey. I still drink whiskey, should I say, from an early age. But I'm not. I don't have the sales and marketing training. I don't have the distilling training at all. I've learned everything being at the distillery, speaking to the distillers, working with the distillery manager. Doing my own homework and reading and stuff and soaking things up like a sponge. But Wolfburn is my bubble. Everything that happens in Wolfburn, affects me and how I do my business and how my presentation comes along. Because I look at events like this as not as an expert in let's get some sales and let's point people to the right liquor stores. It's about, if I was a consumer, I would be wanting to sit back and have some fun, drink some great whiskey, listen to some stories, have a laugh, and the whiskey community is like that. We like to share information. We like to exchange information. We're social animals. We like to feel part of something. So when we're part of an event like this, we're relaxed, we're open, we're honest. And the more safe that you feel, the more open and honest you can be without fear of getting bit on the back of the neck by a big, ugly, hairy Scotsman, right in there.
So I guess our buddy Eric Wade is in here. He's also another great YouTube channel. If you haven't checked him out, please check out Eric's channel. He's actually going to be reviewing your lightly peated soon. So awesome.
Well, that's the next time that we're having the
Morven. Over to that. Tell us all about Morven.
So as I said, for 2 months of the year, we run the stills lightly peated. So we buy a lightly peated malt, 10 per million, so 10 ppm. And we usually do this. We usually do our lightly peated run before the summer shutdown. We shut down for a number of weeks in the summer where we clean everything back, and if we have to replace mechanisms or if it's painting or if we're building something, we concentrate on that. And that's why we do it before the summer shutdown. So then everything is cleaned back for the non-peated production after the summer. So same 46%. Everything that we do, remember, non-chill filter, no added colouring. We say that on the labels. Super proud. But 50% has been matured in second fill quarter casks, like the Northland, so the ex-Isle casks. 50% has been matured in first fill bourbon casks. So this has got a beautiful balance of sweetness and smoke. And again, with being 10 ppm and having it matured in an peated cask. Basically, it just gives it just a wee bit more depth and a wee bit more resonance as well.
Oh, it smells so good. It's that
But
nice, dark, heavy.
but it's not like a recycled hospital. It's not too medicinal.
No, it's not medicinal. It's just a beautiful, earthy smoke and ash.
It's got that lovely sort of malty earthiness, as you said. That lovely sort of.
Ooh, now that salt and that ocean breeze is coming through.
That sort of maritime as well. I get a lot from this as well.
Oh, yeah, and then thanks, Donald, for posting that about the 360 tour as well.
And this, this is a great whiskey for people that maybe don't like peated whiskey. This is a lovely introduction because, sometimes you get a peat monster, you get a peat bomb, and all you do, you just get that. You can't get past like that medicinal, that iodine, that tuna cigar or lit in an ashtray or whatever. The flavour just can't get through. This is like a veil of smoke, like Stephen King's The Fog. The flavour comes out, it rises, it comes through, and it reaches your palate. And again, look at the colour. It's like Chardonnay. It's very light.
Yeah.
But it fair packs a punch on the palate. It really does.
So, is there a reason you guys used a dark glass on this one compared to the other all being in clear glass?
We actually try and put every peated expression that we do in dark glass, just as an instant recognition.
Okay, that's kind of what I figured.
It's not because of any reason where it's sitting on a shelf or lying out or whatever. It's just that we just like we like a stamp to say this is probably a peated version from Wolfburn.
Okay.
And although it's 10 ppm, because 50%'s been matured in that ex-Isla cask as well, it just, as I say, it just gives it just a wee bit more hit, a wee bit more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, on the taste, it's definitely got more of that peat, that's for sure. Yeah, that's much more ashy and the bonfire and the salt and the water again.
Right on the back of the palate, just like a ball of like smoke puffing out.
Yeah, and this also has that bitter coffee we're talking about on this one too, and a little bit of that chocolate. This is really delicious. Yes, Eric, it's Highland peat.
That lovely maltiness, that love. You said it yourself. That sort of ashy earthiness as well. For me, that's a lovely. That's like an honest description of our spirit, because it's ultimately, we're using that ingredients from the ground, that barley, that lovely, lightly peated barley as well. So that impregnated barley that we use, but it's again that lovely, there's some vanilla sweetness coming through there as well with the bourbon influence. But there's a balance between the sweetness and the smoke, which everybody loves.
Oh, it's so great. And
this in a highball as well, in the summer, bang with ice, lots of tonic, big wedge of lime in it or something like that. People say, can we drink whiskey in cocktails and we can play about with it? Of course you can.
Sure, it's your whiskey, whatever the hell you want.
You buy it, you drink it the way you want. I always laugh and say, if you want to put Coca-Cola or Iron Brew in it, you'll burn in hell. Other religions are available, but if that's what you want to do, go for it. And don't let anybody tell you you're holding the glass wrong or you're drinking it wrong or you're nosing it wrong. Your introduction to whiskey or a whiskey you've not tasted, it should be exciting. You should be able to present yourself to it. You should be able to experiment the way that you want to experiment. And it should be fun. It should be fun. That's what it's all about.
Oh, so good.
But again, 46%, the first 3 drams we've had, 3 different tastes and flavours, but that essence of Wolfburn is still there. That lovely fruity floral note is still there. That light vibrancy is still there as well.
And Aaron's got a good point. It's like 2 different kinds of peat base. You get the Isla cask, and then you got the Highland peat. So yeah, which is very interesting, and it's really good.
Yeah, good. That's a good spot. Good spot as well. Because again, that lovely sort of brininess, that lovely sort of saltiness.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and I guess Sam says that as long as you remember his name, that it's all that matters. So
this is one of the best industries to meet to meet people, because usually you meet people over a dram. You meet people that are in front of you or sitting beside you for a reason. They want to drink whiskey. So we're off to a winner straight away.
Yeah,
we're off to a winner straight away.
You're ready to have something in common with them when you sit down at the table, no matter what.
And you all want to be there. You've came for a reason. It's not just, oh, what we're doing tonight. You've actually made the effort to actually go there. Just like we say, you make the effort to come and see us at the distillery.
Definitely. Yeah, I always tell people my best friends I met at liquor stores. So,
It's amazing. But again, it's amazing the conversations you can have with a complete stranger. Like when I travel, I usually travel fully liveried up. Wolfburn cap, Wolfburn coat, Wolfburn t-shirt. And of course, people will say, "Oh, Wolf, are you from Thurso?" And I could be, I did a tasting. I did a tasting in the Oak Barrel in Sydney a couple of years ago. 30 or 40 folk in front of me, did the tasting. A guy came up to me, David Mackay came up to me and he says, "I'm from Thurso. I moved out here years ago. My mum and dad used to stay in, I think it was Penellan Drive or Force Road." And I says, "That's just the street behind where my mum and dad used to stay as well." And it's just amazing that, of all the gin joints in all the world, you've got to work into mine, sort of thing, and it's
for real.
I love the surreal like connections. And even, I was up at I was doing tours at the distillery in July when we could, and there was a couple came in, and I looked at them and I thought, "I know your faces, but I don't know where you're from." And they said, "Oh, we were at a tasting at the Whiskey and Ailment in Melbourne."
Wow.
In 2019, we've came to Scotland, and because of that tasting, because of the tasting that you did, we always said we will come to Wolfburn, and we're here. And I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. And then I did a tasting for Whiskey and Ailment a couple of months ago, and they were actually back in Australia, and they were actually on the Zoom call with a new baby in front of them as well. And it was, it's just such a, again, meeting people, spreading the love, exchanging stories, exchanging drams. It's, it's not a job for me. It really is, it's an absolute pleasure to present to people and to tell the story of Wolfburn and to whet their appetite. Because if they want to do a deep dive, they can go on the internet and they can read all about it, and they can, our website has got a trove of information. Mm-hmm. And again, we're happy to share that with people, because again, we're honest with our process. We're open in our process. It's the correct way to do it, and that's why we get a great fan response, is because we're decent, and we're open and we're honest, and we're passionate about what we do as well. So
yeah, it's funny. You have like some, like you said, the big guys. It's like, well, we don't want to tell you anything. We can't repeat the process. I don't care. It's kind of like the story between Lefroy and Lagavulin. They tried to copy everything they did. It was a complete utter disaster. It can't be done, guys. Now, like your stills, you guys are the first ones to have this. Does anybody else have those stills now anywhere? Since you guys were first, no, still just you guys.
Yeah, I think they were Richard's own. Being in the industry himself, having an idea to create some stills and not being able. I'm saying not being able to do it when he was in the business. Mm. He just didn't feel that every commission, he just didn't feel that it was the right commission for him to say, "What about these stills?"
Sure.
But when Wolfburn came on, he was like, "No, this is it. This is my opportunity. This is my chance."
Absolutely.
So again, as I said, the planets aligned. It really did. And thanks, the Forsyth team come up to do maintenance on our plant and stuff like that. Mm. And it's a great family feel. Sure. These guys have been at the initial build. They know every working part of the distillery. Yeah. And they're super proud of what we're doing as well. So yeah, it's like anything that you make. You want it to last. You want a legacy, and this is what Wolfburn's doing. As I say, 8 years in, we can only get better. So
yeah,
we're here for the long run. We're not just a flash in the pan. We're here for the long run, like every other well-established distillery, going back hundreds of years. This is what Wolfburn, this is what the owners want. They want that for their children, their children's children. And when, they say, if any of the big companies come dangling a fat check in front of them, that's what they'll get. That's what they'll get. Away you go. We're not interested. You can, because they've grown this. They've grown this themselves.
Right.
They had the idea. They went to the site. They had the knowledge. It's part of them.
Definitely.
It grows inside you. It really does.
So, how far is Wolfburn where it currently is compared to where the old one was, as far as like mileage distance?
It's about 300 yards.
Oh, okay. So it's right there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, the great news for us. How the Wolfburn runs down from the moors, and that's where the side of the farm was. There was a new industrial estate getting built in 2012, 11, and there was a couple of plots available. So the owners bought the couple of plots that were closest to the Wolfburn. So basically, when you're standing in our still house and you're at the still safe, we've got a big roller door that we can open to fluctuate temperature as well.
Okay.
You can look out onto the Wolfburn. You can actually look where the water source is coming.
That's so cool.
It's just such a, and then you can look past the fields. You can look at Dunnet Head, which is the most northerly point in the British mainland. You walk into the next field and you're looking out over to Orkney. You can see
Orkney from there. Okay.
Yeah, you can see the Old Man Ahoy, which is great. And I'm biased. I'm completely biased. I spent my first 19 years in Thurso before I moved south to join the police. But because I grew up there, your outside environment has a huge effect on how you're brought up. But it's nature and nurture, everything. It's your parents, it's your environment, it's your friends, it's everything. But living in the north coast of Scotland, you've got the Great Sea, the Pentland Firth, you've got a great salmon river. You were always exploring, you were always getting dirty in the seaweed, you were always climbing rocks. It was such an adventure. And it's we've got a thing in Scotland now called the North Coast 500. It's like Scotland's Route 66.
Okay.
It's 500 miles, and it goes from Inverness, and you can go clockwise or anti-clockwise, but it takes you around the coast of Scotland.
Wow.
It takes you back to Inverness, so 500 miles. We're involved in the Highland Whiskey Festival, which includes 8 distilleries. So you start just south of Inverness at Tomatin. You've got like Glenord, you've got Dalmore, you've got Glenmorangie, you've got Clyneish, you've got Old Pulteney, Balblair, as I've mentioned. What have I missed? And ourselves. But there's 8 distilleries that you can visit on the way up to Thurso.
Wow, that's cool. How big is Thurso anyway?
It's about maybe 9,000 in population.
Okay, so it's a tiny town.
Not a tiny town, but we were, in the late 1950s, there was the Dounreay fast breeder reactor built in Caithness. So it was the first ever fast breeder reactor. London is down here. Where are you going to build the first nuclear fast reactor? You build it in the north of Scotland, as far away as possible in case something goes wrong.
Sure.
Maybe not. It was down to the geology, I'm told.
Okay, interesting.
Because of that nuclear industry, we had a lot of scientists from around the world coming to live in Thurso and work at the Dounreay. And we also had an American early warning, like a naval base up there as well at Force. So we had a couple of streets in Thurso called like John Kennedy Drive, and it was where the American personnel stayed as well. So there was a great mix of people, of culture, of language as well. So growing up in that environment, it was brilliant because you were speaking to people from Guam, the Philippines. The next minute somebody from Austria because of science. It was just like its own little world. And because we're so further north, we don't get the passing trade, shall we say. But with the North Coast 500, because it's a tourist route now, we are getting that passing trade.
Okay, that's good then.
So it's really good. So we've got big signs at the bottom of the road, Wolfburn Distillery, get yourself up there.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
So people do, want to go to the distillery. Do they need to make an appointment ahead of time, or is it just you guys are open certain days for tours, or how does that usually work?
Usually we do tours. Pre-COVID, we were doing tours at sort of 10, 12, and 2.
Oh, okay. So pretty often.
So, yeah, but, again, we'll have to have a look at what we're going to do and how we're going to do it.
Sure. When all those crap ends, yeah.
But then if we've got a busload coming on a Saturday, we'll make certain provisions. So it's always nice to book ahead for that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we'll bend over backwards to help folk. This is what we're like. We're super proud of our distillery. Why not open it at an absurd time and let folk have a wander around if it suits them?
Sure.
That's what we do.
Yeah, it sounds like some place when this stuff ends and hopefully make it over to Scotland can come take a visit, because it sounds like an awesome place to visit. That's for sure.
Sure is. Should we go for the Langskip?
Yeah, let's do that. All right. Like this big, beautiful 58%.
Yeah. Now, Morven was named, the one we had previously was named after the highest peak in Caithness, which is just over 700 metres in height. It's Morven. It's visible from a lot of Caithness because, as I said, Caithness is very flat. Langskip, Thurso used to be an old Norse settlement as well, or Thor's Town or Thor's River, and we named the Langskip after the Viking lordship. Now this is 58%, as you said, so we're jumping from 46, which we've had so far, up to 58. And again, listening to the consumer, can we have something that's maybe a wee bit more punchy, a wee bit more like distillery strength? And this is now, this came out in 2018.
Okay.
And this is our first fill bourbon casks only. And in 2018, we had some 5-year-old casks. So we bottled 5-year-old and some 4-year-old casks as well.
Okay.
Now, and for me, this, if you can picture the Viking longship smashing through the waves, this is the feeling you're going to get initially. You're going to get that rush, that intensity. And even at 58%, that alcohol bloom isn't going to knock you right back. It's not going to give you that instant hit.
It's malty, but it's also like this like a grape jam. That's super interesting. Salty and malty and some like cracked brown bread.
I always get like a
little bit of chocolate.
Yeah, like a rich fruitcake, like that lovely.
Fruitcake. Okay.
That lovely dates and raisins.
Definitely. Oh, wow.
And the legs on this one, the tears are absolutely stunning. That lovely oiliness on the like 58%, hanging onto the glass.
Yeah, it's not even moving. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going nowhere. Just leave me be.
Yeah, it just finally starts now. Wow. That's something else. That is some serious oils in there. That's beautiful.
Slant.
Sláinte. Oh, wow. That's glorious.
See that rush you get, that intensity, that heat.
Yeah. Wow.
On the front of the mouth, on the tip of the tongue as well.
That salty black pepper really in some.
That's
good. Yeah.
A lovely sort of nutty almond twist to it, a lovely sort of marzipan.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you breathe in, you get that lovely nuttiness, that lovely sort of almond marzipan-esque sweetness to it I get from it.
Definitely. It's so good.
Honey caramel, that lovely sort of syrupy sweetness from it as well. And there's a lovely lingering tail there. There's a lovely long finish, and it just rolls on the tongue, and it's sometimes it's not all about the mouth, the nose. It's sometimes not all about the palate. It's about the mouth feel as well. It's about how it sits on your tongue, how it makes your tongue salivate, how it coats it. It's how
this just covers everything in your mouth.
Yeah.
Ooh, and I get like the citrus is now coming on. The orange and lemons and limes are starting to show up. Oh, that's delicious. Oh, wow.
I always like to chew a whiskey as well, just really get it around, make the jaw go, get all your taste buds firing. It might look silly, it might look crazy when you're chewing liquid, but it certainly gets it in all the nooks and crannies, and it makes it can explode in the mouth as well, which is brilliant. But the Langskip for me, I'm not advocating violence, but it's like a slap in the face, and there's a lovely warm embrace at the back. It's like a huge, when you meet Scots folk across the world, it's that big Scots bear hug. Come in, and it's like smacking you on the back. It's got that lovely comforting feeling of that warmth, that sweetness, that happiness in a glass.
Yeah, it's the Scottish bear hug.
But it's our fourth core expression that came out in 18. And again, this is the non-peated spirit we've used again. So the Morven, the previous one, was the only lightly peated. But 4 different flavors, 4 different tastes, but the floral notes, the fruity notes are still there. The DNA of Wolfburn, the essence of Wolfburn is still there. And that's what we want. We want it to be recognizable. We want it to have we want to have that uniqueness that people can go, that's a Wolfburn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if people haven't, that's what we were asking earlier. Is can anybody not get this? And if you can't get this, what state or country are you in that you can't get this? So if we can say it, hopefully we can get it to you. Yeah,
please let us know, and I'll speak to our distribution network as well. We deal with lovescotch.com. Chris Cusser at Wine and Liquor Depot in Van Nuys in Los Angeles. He's got a website, lovescotch.com, and people can order, and he can usually ship that as well, which is really good. He's an ex-Scotland rugby internationalist as well, so he'll be jumping about like Billy O tonight. He'll be giving it large, I'm sure, after the result previously as well. So I might drop him a text later on, see how he was doing. He would have been up early to watch that, I'm sure.
I have no doubt. Yeah, Charles says, does Wolfburn make an expression that smacks you on the back of the head like Joe Pesci and mentioned? Yeah, that would be this one. If you are someone that likes cast strength, they're going to love this. This is beautiful.
And again, at 58%, you're not reaching for the water straight away. You can drink that. That strength without fear of getting that horrible aggressive note.
There's no burn. It's just super clean, but also super warming, and it just envelops your. It almost creates a numb feeling. It's really good. It's just the flavors just keep on going.
And again, that numbness, that sort of that coating on your tongue, because it's you mentioned that oily legs, because it's sitting there, it's firing your taste buds. It's making them go. So again, that adds to the lingering tail. That adds to the long finish as well, and it just rolls over the tongue. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Because I hadn't opened these until the other day. Because I'd opened these the 3, and then I opened these 2 recently, since I knew you were going to come on. I want to have them breathe some before you were on, and wow, these are amazing.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it's and again.
Can't get it in Arkansas. So Arkansas apparently is a state that they cannot get Wolfburn in at the moment.
I'll have to find out exactly what states we are in and what we can do about getting into the states that we can't. We're usually in the hands of our distribution network as well, and we've discussed this before we came on air about different states having different laws and different hoops you have to jump through, and different things you have to sign and put in place. But it's the good thing for us is we just take our time. We just take our time and we get it done. We don't try and rush, and we don't try and do things it's like a toddler, let's just crawl and let's just have a wee toddle, a wee walk before we can run. Don't go too fast. Just take it nice and easy. Concentrate on making the juice. Concentrate on getting it out there. So it's a slow process, but we'll get there eventually, I'm sure. And in a couple of years, we'll have 10 years in production. So we'll be doing a limited 10-year release, I'm sure.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
But as soon as you put like that opens us to a huge new market as well.
Sure.
And I know the States and I know the sort of the Asian markets. There'll be container loads. Folk will be like hammering down the door to get it.
Yes.
We had a special visitor, 2019. Prince Charles came to the distillery.
Oh wow.
He's the chieftain of the May Games, and the May Castle was the Queen Mother's residence, which is just on the way to John O'Groats, which is only about 15 miles away from Thurso. And a lot of the town, a lot of like the baker and the butcher and probably the candlestick maker, and stuff like that, they used to supply the May Castle, so they used to supply the royal family with produce. So a lot of the shops have the royal coat of arms, by royal appointment.
Sure, that's cool.
So when Prince Charles came to the distillery, he met everybody and he went round and he sampled things in the warehouse, and he actually bottled his own Duke of Rothesay, which is his Scottish title when he's in Scotland. So he's got his own Duke of Rothesay Wolfburn.
That's cool.
So you never know, in a few years' time, we might have a big, by royal appointment, crest or shield on the side of the distillery. And again, we know from a marketing point of view, as soon as you have that as well,
sure,
that opens doors, that opens possibilities as well.
Absolutely.
We're not stupid, we're quite astute business folk. We know what we're doing, but to have Prince Charles there, him and his family have been visiting Caithness. The Royal Yacht Britannia used to come in at the Pentland Firth. They used to come in on the launch at Scrabster. As kids, we used to line the streets and wave. So again, there's a great tradition there, and a lot of people they might not be royalists. They might but hey, it's tradition. It's what happens. It's what it gives people something to celebrate as well. And ultimately, we were happy as Larry that he came to visit us as well, because he likes a dram. He's got a few casks dotted across Scotland.
Yeah, I've heard he's a big Scotch man. That's for sure.
And he's the chieftain of the May Games, and we always do a May Games edition as well.
Oh, okay.
Last year was meant to be the 50th edition of the May Games, but sadly it was cancelled.
That's too bad. So is it kind of like the Fashil Festival? Is that more or less what it's like there, the May Games?
No, it's just a Highland Games, so it's nothing to do with whiskey. It's all about athleticism. And last year was the first year that they admitted athletes with disabilities and like Help for Heroes, like Paralympians and stuff.
Okay, cool.
So it was, it's really a great thing to be involved with. A typical Highland Games. Yeah, it's like tug of war, tossing the caber, tossing the sheath.
Awesome.
It's
very cool. Traditional like Highland Games type thing, basically.
Yeah, there's Atlas balls, and again, it's just a great tradition to get everybody from the community there,
sure,
and enjoy themselves. So yeah, we'll continue to support that. We've done a couple of charitable bottles. We did one for Poppy Scotland, raised £10,000 for Poppy Scotland. Nice. 2018. We're raising the same £11,000 for Help for Heroes as well with a charity bottling, and we've got plans to do one probably later on the end of this year. Our owners are ex-Royal Marines as well, so
awesome.
There's a wee bit of military history there. The distillery is probably run like a military operation.
Oh, that's good.
But
good service.
There's there's so many stories these guys can tell, but they've done their service, they went into business, and then now they're distillery owners. And it's if somebody were to write a book and then a film, it would be absolutely amazing. It really would. It's like the horse soldier.
Oh yeah, we love those guys. Yeah, we're hoping to actually have the actual horse soldiers here. I went and met with them in December, and they're supposed to come back in March and come to the house actually and do an event with us. So that should be a lot of fun.
No, I didn't say tossing the sheep. It's a sheath with a F at the end. It's like a hay bale, basically. Trying to get it over the like a high jump sort of thing, trying to get it as high.
That makes more sense. So like, well, I said maybe, I don't know if he said tossing the sheep or not.
Well, tossing the sheep means something completely different.
I mean, Eric says he likes to toss haggis. You know, that sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, we'll not go there. We'll not go there. Yeah. No, it's good. And you know, we're part of our community. We're part of our heritage. You have to think about the past. You have to be grateful for where we are and why we're here. And you know, you have to be thankful as well. Like we've got a big sign in the distillery: "Fortune favors the brave." You know, we see that. It's above our Capardonic washbacks at the end of the distillery, and we see that every day that we go into the stills. And you know, it's a great mantra. It's a great sort of outlook to have on life. You know, if you sit on your backside and do sweet Fanny Adams, you'll not get a reward in life. But if you get off your arse and you put your nose to the grindstone and you try your best, you'll get rewarded. And this is what we're all about at the distillery. You know, put in the effort, do the job, do it to the best of your ability. We'll get rewarded. So, and we're getting the recognition that we so rightly deserve as well.
Definitely. So, I mean, this is a great whiskey. I mean, I can't believe how young this is and how good this is. But you know, if you guys are led by veterans, that has a lot to say to do with it. I think. I mean, like you said, get off their ass and do something about it. Well, they are, and it shows. Exactly.
So our last dram of the night is the 375.
Yes.
Now this is an example of a small batch. I think we did 5,500 bottles of this. It just
that's what it does. Yep.
Now what we do every year since 2017, we've released a small batch. So it means that we've got the core expressions. We'll have other bottles for other areas as well. But what we like to do, we like to choose some special casks that we've had for a special bottling. So in 2014, our cooperage managed to get hold of about 100 small bourbon casks. Now, these casks were about 100 litres in size, so half the size of the standard. Ex-Woodford Reserve bourbon casks.
Okay.
So it's an experiment that they were doing. And we released the batch 128 in 2017, which was the same lightly peated spirit that we used in the Morven.
Okay.
That was all matured in these small bourbon casks. The year after, in 2018, we released the 270, which was a non-peated spirit matured in these casks. The 375 came out on the 21st of March, 2019. How I remember that, I was in Los Angeles. I was doing some training and some retail visits in Los Angeles then. And that date was my 50th birthday.
Oh,
now,
right.
These roughy-tufty Marines that own the company, they'll never admit that they released this to celebrate my 50th birthday, but they really did.
That's awesome.
They'll never admit that. They'll never admit that. But deep down, they have hearts. They do. They do have a heart. And this was a non-peated spirit. And these were the last casks that we had of these small 100-litre American Woodford Reserve bourbon. Okay. And we added some Oloroso sherry hogsheads to it as well. So it's similar to the Aurora that we had earlier on. But this is like the Aurora's big sister or big brother. This is like the Aurora on steroids, in my opinion. It's got a lot more. There's a lot more creaminess. There's a lot more. There's a lot more sweetness. And again, when you think about that small 100-liter American bourbon cask, the intense maturation, that we had just over for 4 years, and then we're adding 4 years sherry hogsheads to it as well. It just makes it a luscious, quite a finesseful dram as well. It's got some, it's got some power to it, but it's got that, I can't get away from that lovely sort of like an ice cream soda, that lovely sort of vanillaed.
It's super creamy smell. Lots of vanilla, scotch, caramel. Yeah, it's almost like a root beer, like the head on a root beer, even.
Okay, yeah. I was a fan. The great thing about growing up in Thurso and having an American base on site, we used to get Hershey bars and Dr. Pepper and everything, off the. So again, it was typical, like the PX. The American base had its own supermarket full of American goods, and it used to be like trades. We used to trade with the other kids, and what have you got? Oh, you've got this.
That's awesome.
Just opened up your palate to so many different treats that the American kids used to get as well.
Yeah, my dad was in the Air Force for 28 years, so we.
Cheers for your service as well, my man.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, so we got to experience all sorts of cool things with, different things from around the world that he brought back from all his travels, which was always a blast just to do all that stuff. So,
and again, this is the great thing about the whiskey industry. There's, you review whiskies from across the world. You get an opportunity to taste from everywhere. And it gives people just an insight of what other places are doing and what other tastes and flavors that they can maybe experience as well. So it's about whetting their appetite. So slange to the 375. Why it's called the 375? The first number is the warehouse that it was matured in, warehouse number 3, and 75 is the stow or the rail that it was matured in. So any of our small batch releases, like last year we did the 155, which was a port finish. In November we did the 204. So again, it's the rails and racks.
Now, did those come to the States or not? Not really. The newer ones.
No, I don't think they made. I don't think the 155 or the 204 went. Last year was quite difficult for us for the States.
Sure.
Because of that extra 25% tax as well. It didn't stagnate, it just slowed somewhat. Sure. And a lot of people in the States started drinking more of their own, supporting their own local businesses as well, which is great. And hopefully the new administration will have a rethink and see where we go for that tariff to be lifted. And then the floodgates can open and we can get as much Wolfburn to as many countries, as many states, hopefully, that we can manage, because ultimately that would be the great goal, to have it in every state in the US.
Absolutely. That would be great. Oh, this is so creamy. Yeah, even on the palate, it's just lots of nice malt on there. Definitely more salty and more nutty and more black pepper. Then it's got that nice creamy. It's also like strawberries and peaches and raspberries. Oh, that's delicious.
It's like a fruit sundae. It's like a fruit sundae.
Yeah.
That lovely, big dot of vanilla ice cream. That lovely sort of caramel sauce. Chop some strawberries or raspberries. That lovely sort of garden fruit variety that you get.
This would be amazing on ice cream.
Try it. Go for it. Don't be shy. This is the great thing about, as I say, experimenting with whiskey. You can have a thought, and it's great when I speak to like mixologists and cocktail greats, because they can pick up a spirit. They can smell it and go, bang, this will make a great Negroni. This will make a great sour. This will be a great old fashioned. They don't even have to taste it. Their mind's going already.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're master of their art, And it's like people say, why waste a quality single malt scotch in a cocktail? I always say, it's like a meal. You start with the best ingredients, you're going to get the best taste and flavor. You're going to get the best results. So
Yeah.
why not do it?
Agree. I mean, yeah, I'm sure this makes some amazing cocktails. There's no doubt. Yeah, like this French vanilla with a Wolfburn 375 reduction. Yeah, I'm sure that'd be fabulous.
And I'm not sure how many 375s are actually left in the States, because that came out in March 19, so that's coming up for 2 years. That's been out.
Okay.
So it's always good that there's some bottles still kicking about.
Yeah, I know there's still a few around here that I've seen online. I think there's like 4 or 5 in this area that I saw. So I know you can still get it if anybody's looking for it. In DFW, you can still get it at Specs. They still have some.
Now, that's always good to know. But again, we'll be doing another small batch later on this year. Last year was the first year that we've actually experimented with finished whiskies, because up until now, all our small batches were fully matured and then batted together. But as I say, last year was the port finish and the Madeira cask finish as well. And they in themselves were epiphanies for me, because again, you took a 5-year-old Wolfburn in bourbon casks. So basically, like the Langskip, and then you gave it another 6 months in a different cask.
Yeah.
And we know what the Langskip taste and flavour is already, and just elevating it by giving it something else. Again, just another layer of like complexity, or
Right.
different like veer of flavour as well.
Yeah, I'd love to try that port cast finish. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's a batch 155, and even the glass, you hold it. I don't even have one here, but it's got a lovely pinkish hue in the glass. It's like, it's like a rosé whiskey. It's just like pink gin but pink whiskey, and you look at it and it's just so inviting. It really is. And I used to drink port with my dad. My dad is no longer with us. He died 2013, just when Wolfburn was coming online. So he's never had the opportunity to see me in my second career now.
Yeah, really.
I'm super proud of what I'm doing, but it's, if I drink anything with a port finish or even port, I can instantly think of sitting at my dad's chair or going out with him and sharing a dram with him as well. Because again, whiskey for people, it can be, why do you drink that whiskey? Is it the first whiskey that you tasted? Was it a gift? Was it the first distillery that you went to?
Sure.
Was it your family distillery? Was it from the area you're from? People want to make a connection with a distillery. They want to, they want to hold it close to their heart and their soul. So it has to resonate with somebody. It has to say the right things. And the great thing about Wolfburn is that because of everything that we're doing and the way we're doing it, it's such a nice fit for people to say, well, that really speaks to me, and I'm going to follow Wolfburn, because in 10 or 15 years, if people are getting into Wolfburn at the moment, they're drinking our first expressions. They're drinking the Northland, they're drinking the Aurora, they're drinking the first ones that have came off the stills. And there's not very many great whiskey companies you can say you were there at the very beginning.
Agree, especially now. Yeah, there's not. And then, yeah, that's a valid point. And that the fact that it's only a few years old and you're making really great stuff, and that it started, recently, that, yeah, you can't say I got some of the first batches of this stuff in this country, and here they are, just fabulous, and can only wait to see what comes in the future. Like when you said, when there's a 10-year-old rolling off here in a couple of years, I mean, that's going to be amazing.
We haven't put an age statement on any whiskey, but we did last year for one release.
Okay.
Germany is our biggest market, so they absolutely love Wolfburn. So we did a release last year for the Vibrant Stills, our German distributor, Alba Import. Corey and Dee came over and we tasted various casks. We released a Pedro Jimenez sherry, but with a bourbon cask. We did 1,000 bottles.
Nice.
And it was our oldest spirit that we had last year, so 7 years age.
Very nice.
And we put a 7, in fact. Put that one there. This is our Vibrant Stills.
So a 10 on this. Very
cool release as well. So even look at the color and different color.
Wow, that's so great. I like that label too. That's a nice. That's cool.
Yeah, that's the Vibrant Stills. That's their own label. And again, our our brand, our marketing is done in house. Our brand manager is, basically the brother-in-law of one of our owners. And we were talking off air yesterday, the Icons of Whiskey Awards 2021. We were featured in 4 categories. One for Craft Producer of the Year. We were shortlisted. We didn't win. One for Innovation and Creativity of the Year because of our Help for Heroes charity bottle. Paul Collins, our brand manager, he won a highly commended for his design and creativity. And I was lucky enough to be shortlisted for Scotch Whisky Ambassador of the Year, which I didn't win, but I was in a team of big hitters, and all congrats to the people that won. But again, it just shows you we've only been on the market since 2016, but the name Wolfburn is gathering momentum. It's gathering traction, and that's because of the great spirit we're producing.
Definitely.
It's down to folk like yourself. It's down to our retailers and distributors about going the extra mile and maybe trying something outside your comfort zone and being pleasantly amazed at the taste and refinement for such a whiskey that's maybe not been in the casks for 10, 15, 20 years. A lot of our whiskey is used in blind tastings as well. And a lot of the reports that we get, they'll put our whiskies in the 8 to 12 year character, which is similar to everything else that they're tasting in the blind tasting, which is basically at the time 3 times older than the whiskey that is actually in the glass or in the bottle, because it's usually 3 to 4 years or 4 to 5. Sure. But they're saying it's 8 to 12. So again, what we're trying to do, I suppose, it's all about re-education as well, because just because it's young, it doesn't mean that it's not tasteful. Just because it's old, it doesn't mean that it's going to be super good. No. So it's just, I love doing whiskey festivals that you see folk walking past and they look at your bottles and they're looking for an age. They're looking for the 10, the 12, the 15, the 18. And when they don't see it, they walk past. But before they're at the end of the end of the display, I try and stop them. And I say, "Excuse me." And they look back and I says, "Do you fancy a dram? Do you fancy trying it?" "Well, I've never heard of Wolfburn and I see you don't have any age statements." I says, "Right, okay. Try it and then give me your opinion. Don't give me your opinion first without tasting it."
Right.
Because that's bullshit. If you're going to have an opinion on something, taste it, do it. And then I just stand back. I just sit and watch them and go, and you see them going, it's like an epiphany. It's like a double take, and they're like, how is this so good? How and they're fogs with their brain, because they think just because it's young, it should be. They might think it's going to be aggressive, it's going to be raw, it's going to be spirity, it's going to have an aftertaste, it's going to have a burn. But they're pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely.
It's like me digging a hole, putting the branches and the twigs and letting folk walk, and just bang, we've caught them. We've got them in our trap.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, in Texas here, we get whiskey that, because of the heat, that can be done in 14 months, and it's amazing. Like, people are like, read 14 months. I'm like, try it. It's like, no way it's 14 months. It's amazing. And it's the same thing here with Scotland. If you start with good products, you're going to have a good thing. And it doesn't matter what age statement. Age statements are completely irrelevant. There's just simply a stamp of time on the bottle. It means nothing.
A lot of people will use that as their go-to. But I always say, go outside your comfort zone. Be adventurous. Life. We're here once in life. Grab it by the kahunas. Let's do something.
Exactly. I mean,
let's make an imprint.
There's just too many things that I wouldn't have tried otherwise if I was looking for a silly age statement. It's like, to me, I'm like, where's the weird stuff? Where's the more abnormal things?
Yeah.
What can you show me that's different than somebody else is doing it? And I like different. I think that it gives you something else to look forward to, a different flavor you were never going to experience with an older whiskey. It just doesn't get there. But with new, vibrant, younger whiskeys, you get all these really cool, bright, shiny things you wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah, and it gives you a chance to have an opinion on something. Because if you don't involve yourself in it, if you don't taste it, don't have an opinion on something that you've never tasted. Don't do that. That's wrong.
Agree.
So yeah.
Yeah, I send people blind to this all the time, and they're blown away by how good it is.
Brilliant. No,
They're like, no way, it can't be that young.
And this
But
is,
yeah, works out perfect.
This is the fun. This is the congeniality and the fun that we have with the whiskey industry and the whiskey community as well. Because you might taste blackberries, I might taste blueberries, somebody could taste raspberries, somebody could taste strawberries. Nobody is wrong. Their experience, their ability to pick up taste and flavors is their own. Nobody lives inside your head. Heaven forbid somebody lives inside my head. There's not enough room for anybody else. There's plenty going on up there already. But yeah, that's why the whiskey community is so great, because there's such an exchange of information, and people are more likely to take a recommendation for somebody that will say, well, try this. You might like this, or you might want to try that.
Yeah, exactly. So Charles says this should be a stream for every ambassador in the industry. So you're doing a fantastic job, and I do agree. This has been absolutely wonderful. But Eric also says, as long as she's 18 years old, age savings don't matter. So you got to keep it legal. This is true, Eric. You should definitely make sure she's at least 18.
18-year-old Wolfburn, honestly.
Wow, imagine. Probably fabulous.
We're only 10 years away from that.
Right. Yeah.
And when we think about it, we're 8 years in production already. So it's just doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple of years, we're going to be there. And hopefully, I'll never take another job with any other distillery. I'll never work in any other area as well. I've had offers, but I'm never going to do it, because I'm a Thurso lad. I was born and bred in the town where the distillery is. The fields where the distillery were, I used to go and pick mushrooms with my dad.
That's awesome.
The Wolfburn, because it was a stream in the moors, and we used to go up to the moors and we used to try and catch the little fish and the sticklebacks, and everything that has for me is a memory, is a moment that I've treasured. So if I can't be passionate about Wolfburn, nobody can. It's not that I'm reading off a script. It's not that I've got sales and marketing guff that I have to give the audience. As I said earlier on, I treat these as an excuse for me to wax lyrical about Wolfburn, to be passionate, to be to draw people to the north of Scotland to come and see us as well. And people want to know about the characters behind the distillery. It's not just about the juice. It's about Ian Kerr, the manager.
Agreed.
You'll never ever get Ian Kerr doing this. You'll never get our distillery manager doing anything like this. He'll not do any tastings. I got him to sign 100 bottles one time, and he was absolutely raging. He really was. He says, my job is to make whiskey. That's all I do. And I'm bloody damn good at doing it. Don't ask me to do anything else. And he's humble. He's a humble guy that he just, leave me alone, let me make whiskey, let me make it the best I can. And he says, if you want somebody to go in front of a camera or give a blog or give an interview, that's what Mark's for. He's worked in the police. He's a people person. He can talk a lot of rubbish. He can talk a lot of shit sometimes. But you just have to reel me back sometimes. I can go off on tangents left and right. But again, people just don't want to hear about what's in the glass. They want to hear about me and what I am as a person. They want to hear about Charlie Fraser, Innes McIntosh, the two 21-year-old distillers that play in the same football team, that came through the school together, and now they work together, the best of friends like that. They want to hear about the 17-year-old we've just taken on as a apprentice.
Agreed. That's what makes it special and magical. Of course. You can't get that other places. I mean, to me, this is like the dream of the ways distilleries should be run.
Yeah, and we're lucky. We're lucky we can do that, because we've got the backing, we've got the confidence, and we've got, the owners of Wolfburn are so forward thinking. They're very inclusive about what we do and how we do it. Mm-hmm. And they know that to have a successful business, everybody needs to be working from the same hymn sheet, like working the same roles. and we've bought into that. So it's one big happy family at Wolfburn. Team Wolfburn. This is what it's like.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. So go for about 5 more minutes. If anybody else has any questions for Mark, let him know. And then it's been a fantastic evening, and we'll let him go off to hanging out and drinking some more drams after Scotland's win today.
You know, I'm gonna watch the highlights again. I'm gonna watch.
There you go.
You know, this is, and then the great thing is I'll be doing a night shift tomorrow. But I usually watch the Super Bowl as well. So
Okay.
I usually stay up and watch the Super Bowl live because I just love it. I really do. So yeah, let's see if the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buccaneers tomorrow. Let's see. I'll go with the Chiefs, I think. Don't sign off at the moment if I've said something wrong. Don't ever buy Wolfburn if I shouldn't have said, I need to go to the Buccaneers or that. This is why we don't get involved in football or anything like that.
Yeah, right.
It's so divisive. It really is.
Sure.
You mentioned your brand associated with some football team, and then you've alienated thousands of people that'll never ever.
Exactly. Yeah. You want all the people no matter what team they root for to buy the whiskey. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's quite correct. And and when you do buy it, you can do with it what you wish. You can drink it how you like. And again, we spoke about the branding. We want people to be blown away by their spirit, but we want to grab people's attention as well. But we grab people's attention not by doing fancy giveaways or shooting T-shirts out in a cannon or anything like that. Nothing. It's about making the best spirit that we can, giving it the best vehicle to market, having a great place on a liquor store, a back bar. But it's all about taste and flavour. Has to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like Eric says, he's rooting for Team Whiskey. I agree. That's a good team to be on, Team Whiskey in general.
I'll support that.
There's always so many amazing things, and hopefully people can go out and find some of this and let us know what you guys think if you find some. And if you can't find it, let us know, and we'll see if we can hopefully send me an email at whiskycrusaders3@gmail.com, and I'll get it over to Mark and see if we can get you guys in that state at some point. So hopefully you guys can do that.
Yeah, that lovescotch.com as well. I don't know what your advertising rules are of that. I apologise if I.
You can say anything you want.
Yeah, but Chris Cussiter at the Wine and Liquor Depot in Los Angeles, he runs lovescotch.com. It's a great site, and he can usually get you things across states. So let's see. Let's see if that continues, and I'll give Chris a wee heads up that I've given him a shout out on the stream tonight as well, and see if there's a spike in his business.
Hopefully,
he might have the day off. As I say, he's an ex-Scotland rugby player. He might be just like lying at the back, just like texting all his pals, all the ex-Scots rugby internationalists as well.
So, see, like Charles says, just give Brady and Mahomes their a pour of Wolfburn. They both can have that and share it. See, problem solved. It's a good choice, Charles. Good choice.
Yeah. And again, it's no loss what a friend gets. If you can drown your sorrows, if you can, there's a game on. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. But let's do it. Sure. Let's do it in the right spirit. Spirit is the word.
That is the word, no doubt.
You're going back to the Langskip then, my man, Matt.
Yeah, I got to pour a little more of that because that is delicious.
No,
can't go wrong.
People will ask me what my favourite Wolfburn is, and I'll, it's like me choosing one of my children.
Right.
It's thing one. The next day it's thing two.
Exactly.
It depends on your mood. It depends on your company. You can taste the whiskey and you can put it in the back of the cupboard. You might not go back to that whiskey for a month, and then you can taste it again, and it can be totally different to you.
Completely agree.
So never give up. But the Langskip for me has got. I think it's maybe an age thing. As you grow older, your taste buds, you need that, like, stand clear, boom, boom. You need that start. You need that electricity to activate. But the Northland, the Northland, I can remember drinking that down at the distillery with the whole team in front of the stills, and I've got a special place in here. That's a memory. That is that is a treasured memory that I have, and nobody'll beat that as well.
No, yeah, you can't. That's the first thing you guys made. It's the sentimental of it. You can't get away from that. That's what makes whiskey special. To me, it's like who you shared it with, what the moment was. Those whiskeys become special and memories you'll never forget.
That's the hook. That's the
Exactly.
hook. You get, it just anchors itself in you. It really does.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I just want to thank you very much, Mark, for being on here with us.
All the best. In fact,
absolutely. This has been a fantastic evening. And we'll see everybody on Monday. ADHD Whiskey is going to be here for Blind Whiskey's Best Taste in the World versus the World. So it should be a very entertaining evening. So I just want to thank you to stay here, and I'm going to cheers, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for your attendance. Enjoy. Be safe.